Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Year 8 Parent Information Evening. And I welcome all our Year 8 pupils, and especially as well our mums and dads. This is obviously slightly different, where we won't be able to see you, but hopefully you can see and hear us well. As I said back in June when we did our Year 8 induction evening, there were lots of things for us to tell you, and we did share a lot of information, but there was lots more to be shared. And so this is an opportunity tonight just to help fill in some of the gaps as you progress into Year 8 and your child progresses into Year 8. So the format of tonight will be that I have a few things that I'd like to share with you, and then I'm going to pass on to Mr. Watson, who is our vice principal at the minute, and he will talk a little bit about assessment for learning, and how we go about making sure that our assessments are robust and tracked and so on through the course of the year. And then I want to introduce you to a few of the key people involved in your child's life this year in school. Mrs. Barr, who's our head of numeracy, will be talking to you about the importance of numeracy, how we support your young person with numeracy, and then how you can support at home as well. Mrs. Logan, who's our senior teacher in charge of learning and teaching in school, will be talking to you a little bit about homeworks and Google Classroom, which is something that has been evolving since the start of lockdown and will continue to do so. Mrs. Nesbitt is our head of literacy in school, and would like to take a few moments of your time just to share with you about the importance of literacy and literacy strategies. We're then going to hear from Jacob McVicker, who's in Year 9, and Jacob wants to share with you some of his experiences of learning in Year 8. And some tips to help you as young people do really, really well. So we're looking forward to hearing from Jacob. And then Mr. Hargy, who's our head of Year 9, will finish this evening with a little bit of information about studying, as well as our peer mentor scheme. So I'm just going to share with you a picture, a slide that we use quite a lot in Balmoney High School, and you may see this again as you go up through the years, but it's a partnership. School is a partnership. It has to be. In order for it to succeed, it's vital, as it says on there, and it's parents and teachers supporting our young people. If we work together, pupils will succeed, and there's no doubt about it. And it's about communication. It's about making sure that we're putting in place supports, and home knows about that, and we in school know about things that go on at home. So please never be scared to lift the phone and give us a call or send us an email, so we can help you and help your young people, and you can help us as well. So we really appreciate that. Throughout the course of this year, there are lots of key things going on. This year will obviously be already is slightly different, but we still will plan to run some of our events as normal. We always have parents' afternoons. This year we plan to have one on the 2nd of November. We don't know exactly how that will look. We will have to obviously wait on the latest guidance from the government as to whether we can bring larger groups of people together. At this stage, if it was to happen very soon, that would be unlikely. And we'd have to look at an alternative, possibly something digital, but we still are planning for the 2nd of November to give you some feedback on your child's progress so far. You'll see we have 3 assessment windows mentioned, instead of just doing the traditional Christmas and end of year exams. We go for 3 assessment windows. The first 2 are done in the classroom, and then the third one will be done where pupils are moved to different rooms and split up to make it much more exam like conditions. This allows us to gain information very quickly to baseline your child, and certainly after lockdown that's very important that we get some information as soon as possible. We didn't want to do it straight off the bat. We wanted to give your child some time to adjust, but we will be looking at this assessment window in November. But then we can also track, and we can see pupils who are doing really, really well and need stretched and challenged. And we can see pupils who have maybe had a difficulty in a subject, and we can put in place interventions to do that. And we can pick up patterns and trends, so that's very, very important. Traditionally, Prize Day happens the Friday before half term. We're off the week in half term. that is still the plan, but again, that may change. If there is Prize Day happening, there will be no need for Year 8 to attend, but we will keep you up to date on that. At this stage, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to allow Mr. Watson to take over, and then if you just watch through, the different teachers will either appear or they'll be recording their voice onto this. So I hope this is useful for you and that you enjoy and gain from listening to us. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham, and good evening, Year 8s and Year 8 parents. Firstly, I would like to take the time to thank everyone, pupils, parents and staff, for how well you've managed the transition from primary school. There have been so many changes to our normal format that have meant the first experience of Ballymoney High School have not been their usual warm and engaging experience. We've all been forced to adapt, and hopefully this evening will highlight how we can address some key issues and how we can continue to ensure that the Ballymoney High School experience is the best possible for our young people. I'm going to spend some time discussing assessment and how we plan it should look over the course of this year. In terms of assessment, we aren't going to reinvent the wheel in comparison to what you're familiar with, but things are slightly different when at secondary school. Rather than having literacy and numeracy homeworks almost every night, you'll find that it may be one homework per subject per week or perhaps every 2 weeks. Assessment will be ongoing in classes over the course of the year, but there will also be times where there seems to be less and other times where there will be more. At this point in your child's school career at Ballymoney High, there are lots of assessments in different forms going on, from informal question times to more structured tests or assessments. In terms of formal assessments, there are a variety of ways a child may be assessed, from written tasks to performance-based assessments to standardised tests. As a school, we spread these across the school year in an attempt to monitor progression. Assessment feedback is something we value at Ballymoney High School, something as a staff we've been working on to assist your child in achieving their potential. We want our assessments to be worthwhile and not simply be for the sake of seeing how well you've understood or learned a topic. Our aim with assessments is to be able to take a snapshot of where you are at a point in time and see how that is compared with another point in your educational journey. In order to make the most of our assessments, feedback is crucial. John Hattie, an Australian educational theorist, highlights feedback as the most powerful single modification that enhances achievement. Feedback is not just a case of a mark and a grade, it can be so much more. The idea that teachers give what we maybe understand as constructive feedback is a big part of this, but the opportunity to act on this feedback plays an equally big part, allowing for reflection and actions based on this. WWW and EBI are two basic strategies that we as a school try to employ, as well as others. Simply highlighting what went well, and this work would be even better if. Acting on an EBI can help to provide some closure to a topic or area you have struggled with. I've mentioned already assessment windows, of which there are 3. A feature that will be new to you as a secondary school parent is the idea of targets. In Ballymoney High School, we set pupils individualised targets based on their standardised test scores that the pupils have been completing over the last few weeks. Their last set is next week, so just remember a reminder to you tonight, if they could bring headphones with them next Tuesday, that would be much appreciated. These scores allow our staff to be able to set realistic, achievable targets for your child, with a view to allowing your child to achieve their best in a particular subject. These targets are regularly reviewed and adapted as we learn more about your children. We use a RAG system in Ballymoney High School, red, amber and green, and this is a system whereby a pupil can tell quite simply by looking at their report whether they are above, below or on target. Red standing for below target, yellow for on target and green for above. The example on the screen shows a typical example of what you might see in June. This is their report. 3 assessments across the year with targets set. In this example, targets haven't changed an awful lot across the year, but it gives you an idea. Pupils deemed to be within 5% either side of their target percentage are deemed to be on target. It can make it easier for parents and heads of year or form teachers to get a general feel for how well a pupil is doing with a quick glance down through the range of colours. By the end of the year, we will have a raft of data on your child. Information from standardised tests, information from 3 assessments, and a knowledge from personal experience. At that point, we'll review your child's progress and look into interventions which we feel might be appropriate. Do they need to change English or Maths class? Some classes are harder to see patterns in without using sheets like this, what we have on the screen. Sheets like this can highlight a pupil who isn't achieving in line with what his or her standardised test scores would suggest, as well as who is achieving better than we would expect. Class changes may be considered following a year of data. We will also reward achievement and progression based on the data we've collated. Feedback is something I've already talked about. Acting on feedback and learning from what you've done are key parts to a growth mindset. We have a section in our homework diaries where pupils will have time given over for them to complete. This section allows the pupil to see an overview of their performance, but also allows them an opportunity to set SMART targets to improve. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-based targets. It might be something you as a parent get involved with your child, or even have a nosy at to see what your child is thinking. These are completed the week after pupils receive their assessment results, so when you're signing your child's diary, why not have a wee look to see what I'm talking about. The format is something similar to what is on the screen and allows pupils to look at their achievement and reflect on what they can do better. We encourage our kids in school to be specific rather than simply revise more, to talk about revising a specific part of a subject more, as this is an area they have identified as a weakness, perhaps even talking more specifically about how they could revise that topic better. When I'm already referring to diaries, can I just encourage you as parents to have a look at your child's? There is a lot of helpful info included in it, and I'd like to keep you informed of a few updates to the diary. Firstly, in addition to the diary, this year has been the inclusion of a space for recording your child's username for computer access, as well as including how that username translates to an email for access to other online applications. This is on page 8 in the diary. We've also recognised the need for a central record of Google Classroom codes. For the purpose of recording these, we have ordered sticky labels designed to include each subject that is studied in each year group and a space to record the Google Classroom code for this class. We've also created a Google Classroom guide to give instructions for common tasks in Google Classroom. I know this will be a relief for many. Before I finish, can I mention one last thing? Sims Parent. Many parents have already been able to access this new tool we have as a school. Others have struggled, but have been able to get set up with a simple phone call. As a school, this app allows us to communicate with relevant parents relatively easy. It also facilitates us being able to send you relevant information about your child. Our Google Classroom guide, for example, was sent out last week via this app. Importantly, we will be distributing our assessment reports via the app, which they can then be printed from home or viewed from the app itself. If you're struggling to get this to work, please let us know so we can get any problems sorted out. All we need to know is an email address. This brings me to an end in terms of what I would like to share with you tonight. Can I just reiterate my sentiments at the start and thank you for your patience and efforts during these strange times. I'd like to reassure you that we are doing what we can to ensure your child's experience of Ballymoney High School is as positive a one as possible. But if we don't know there's an issue, it can be hard to do anything about it. So please, if you're having any issues, drop us an email, give us a call, or contact us via social media. Someone will get back to you as soon as possible and will be able to relieve any unnecessary stress or worry. I'm now going to hand over to Mrs. Barr, our Head of Numeracy, and our Head of Maths. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Barr. I am Head of Maths as well as Numeracy Coordinator here at Ballymoney High School. It is lovely to be able to speak to you this way at this difficult time. We have developed a whole school numeracy policy in conjunction with the Ballymoney learning community, which details procedures and practices for staff to follow, and we are hoping to share this with more of our feeder primary schools this year. Each year, pupils are tested online through CAT or PTM tests to show value added and to identify areas that they need to focus on. Numeracy is focused on in many units of work across the curriculum, as well as in maths classes. In form time, fun numeracy activities are completed. Here is an example of a display produced by a form class in science, finding interesting and weird element facts. Other examples of numeracy in science: examples from French, modern foreign languages, an example from our Learning Support Centre, examples from PE, examples from home economics, and examples from music. How can you help your child with numeracy or maths? Always encourage them to show their working out, show their methods, write it down. Practice the methods. Practice the methods. Look at the questions, work out the answers, and then check if it's correct. We encourage the look, cover, write, check, say technique, although we put it, and each teacher will put it in a slightly different way. We encourage checking of all numeracy work. How can you help your child with numeracy and maths in a practical way, in an everyday way? So shopping, buy one, get one free, 2 for 1, working out the prices of things, weighing and baking, recipes and ratios, estimation, reading timetables, playing games and problem solving. Fractions, decimals, and percentages, as well as numbers, appear lots of different places. Route planning, visualizing, day trip planning, all to do with cost and financial capability, is a really important part of maths and numeracy. So how can you help your child revise? Reread the examples in your work, revise using the worksheets, tests, exams, or homework set. Ask somebody. Ask your maths teacher, use the internet. There are tons of wonderful apps and online resources. We also encourage the use of My Maths, and all our year 8s will be trained on this shortly. It is really important that all pupils can use a calculator, a scientific calculator, as they prepare for GCSE. So we encourage all pupils across the school to bring a scientific calculator to class every day.
Hello there, my name's Mrs. Logan. I'm a senior teacher for learning and teaching at Ballymoney High School. Homework in Ballymoney High is monitored carefully and checked by senior teachers. We know that homework teaches pupils to work independently by consolidating the work that is learnt in class. Homework should be meaningful and reflect the topic that is being taught in class. It develops self-discipline as a learner and can identify learning problems that have not been picked up on in class. Homework should encourage pupils to take initiative and responsibility for completing a task. In our home-school partnership, homework allows parents to have an active role in their child's education and helps them to evaluate their child's progress regularly. Homework is set in class and is recorded in our homework diary. This is an excellent communication tool for homeschool, and we would encourage you as parents and carers to use the diary to correspond with the form or subject teacher. Homework diaries are checked by form teachers and/or heads of year every week. Homeworks come in many different forms: written, research, reading, learning, drama pieces, group tasks, exam, revision and numeracy. There is a minimum of one homework per week per subject, and there is a detention system in place for pupils who continually fail to hand in homework. Due to coronavirus, all homeworks this year will be set on Google Classroom. Your child will be given a code to join the classroom, and all homework will be in the virtual classroom. This is necessary protection at this time for pupils and staff. For help and support with Google Classroom, please refer to the home page of the school website. There you'll find a yellow box, COVID contingency guide for parents, and a green box below, which is a link to YouTube where you can access Google Classroom guides. We're here to help and support your child with their learning and homework. Please do not hesitate to get in touch with any queries or concerns.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Nesbitt and I am responsible for developing literacy across the curriculum. Literacy is important because, along with maths, English is one of the key qualifications employers look for. All parents know the challenge that iPhones and tablets, etc., present as a distraction from reading at this current time. It takes a village to raise a child, and it will take teachers and parents working together to develop good literacy habits in our pupils. This slide suggests some of the ideas that you may develop at home to improve your child's literacy. And of course, libraries are a useful resource, now online through their Libby app. We also have our own library here in school. Year 8s will be making good use of this through our Accelerated Reader programme. Across all subjects, the school uses the acronym PEE, Point, Evidence, Explain, a useful guidance tool for structuring paragraphs in extended writing. With regards to literacy, there is an expectation here that parents will model good habits, especially reading ones, in the home and introduce to the daily routine times for reading aloud to their child and time for listening to their child read. Thank you for listening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jacob and I am here tonight to help you put your minds at ease about your sons and daughters in Year 8. I was in their position this time last year and I know it can be a very stressful time, and not just for us, but for all the parents too. I just wanted to give you a few tips about the things that helped me and my friends settle into life in the big school. It's a really big change. The main thing I remember is how much more I had to take in. The work is challenging but very rewarding. I feel like I progressed very well in Year 8, or so my report said. I don't like to brag. It all takes time. That would be my main piece of advice. Be patient. The teachers here are lovely. They are very understanding and approachable. Remember, they were first years too at a time, even Mr. Bingham, but we're going way back there, and we're not here to talk about the war. Year 8s even have their own playground and they get all the best treatment. I know Mr. Hargy didn't slip me a fiver to say that. It was Mrs. Blair, she gave me a tenner. Anyway, there are a lot of people looking after us here in Ballymoney High, so don't worry. The school day is a very busy one. I got into the good habit of checking my homework diary every night and packing my bag with the books I needed for the next day. Making new friends and getting bullied were worries I had before coming here, not forgetting getting lost. My advice would be to get involved in the clubs and activities at lunchtime and after school. I made lots of new friends by going to these. We can go to the hub at lunch or our own chill and chat club exclusively for Year 8s on a Monday lunchtime out in Mobile 5. All the Year 8s have peer mentors too. That was a big help. My advice about exams would be to prepare early. We set targets in all our subjects and these help us stay on track. There's much more I could talk about, but I know we have a lot to squeeze in tonight, and you've all been sitting long enough. A final thought would be, don't worry. The stress and the worry will decrease and routines will become familiar habits. Just think, this time next year, your son or daughter may well be standing up here advising the next group of Year 8 parents. Thank you for listening and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Good evening. My name is Mr. Hargy and I'm one of the heads of year for Year 8. And I just want to talk very briefly about study skills. As a school, we want to foster in our Year 8s an ethos of consistent and effective home study skills. This will not only support Year 8s with homeworks and school-related projects, but it also provides a structure to support revision ahead of assessments. This slide provides an example of a home study timetable. This is a very useful means of organising home study. And Year 8s will be working on this in their tutorial classes during the week. A home study timetable can help ensure that a sensible balance is being struck between schoolwork and other important extracurricular activities. It is extremely important that sufficient time is being set aside in the afternoon or early evening to complete all homework. Now, as a school, we depend on your support to ensure Year 8s are completing all of their homeworks. And this has become even more important now that many of the homeworks are being set using Google Classroom. And I would also like to mention at this point the importance of our school website, especially ahead of each assessment window. Pupils and parents can access the revision lists for each of their subjects at exam time on the school website. As I've mentioned already, home study is a key part of your child's education. It should be worthwhile and rewarding. What it should not be, however, is a cause of stress or anxiety. No child in Year 8 should go home feeling stressed or anxious about their homeworks or exam revision. Always know they have their form tutors and their heads of year to go to if they are ever concerned about this. And if you have any concerns as parents, please do not hesitate in contacting the school. So effective home study is all about ensuring your child has the right learning environment. And we're all familiar with the most obvious kinds of distractions. It will be impossible for Year 8s to complete homeworks to a good standard if every few minutes a phone is being lifted to check a Snapchat or to post something onto Facebook. So we really do emphasise the importance of a quiet and suitable place for home study. Somewhere where there is plenty of space and where there are minimal distractions. And finally, our peer mentor programme. Peer mentors are Year 11 students who volunteer to act as mentors to Year 8s. And they're a source of guidance, support and reassurance, from helping Year 8s understand their timetable to locating rooms around the school or issues around making friends. Peer mentors are often the first port of call for our Year 8 pupils.